Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of our Yu-Gi-Oh podcast, brought to you by Yu-Gi-Oh is Bad, and You Should Feel Bad. Today we've got myself, and Zach,
Hello.
and Tom.
I
So, over the weekend, I went to the Indianapolis Regional, and I personally did awful. Like, completely awful. I wasn't surprised by this, to say the least, because I basically not done any testing. And I changed my build like the night before because Doug was telling me that I should be playing Armageddon Night. And he's like, you've got to play Armageddon Night in your build because it's amazing. And I checked out the build that he sent me, and it wasn't really that great. Oh, and by the way, I'm talking about Magician Pendulums here.
Odd Eyes
So,
Magicians.
Odd Eyes Magicians, right? And he's like, yeah, you can summon Armageddon Knight and you can send Tuning Magician to the graveyard. And then if you have your scale, you can just summon back the Tuning Magician and you can make your synchros and whatnot. And right away that was like, oh, that's really good. And I really like making the synchros with Tuning Magician. It's really good. So then he was telling me that if you have Zephyros in there too, you can like send Zephyros and you can bounce Armageddon Knight, and then you have Zephyros in the field, and then you pendulum summon Armageddon Knight back, and you send Tuning Magician, and then you bring Tuning Magician back, and then you have Trishula. And then lastly, you can tech and Shadow Dragon so that Armageddon Knight becomes an out to all kinds of nasty back row, especially anti-spell fragrance. And that sold me on it right away, but I wanted to fit it into my build that I already had, so I changed a bunch of stuff up. And that ended up coming back to bite me because I didn't realize it, but it made it so that I wasn't main decking outs to Vanity's Fiend. So if someone fielded Vanity's Fiend against me, I couldn't win. Like, I just had to scoop. And that came up on my Burning Abyss match. So we get there and whatever, and we play. My first round is against like a mirror match against someone who like was kind of newish to the game or was returning. He just bought the stuff recently, spent a ton of money on the game. Was gonna play Perform Mages the next time, but he was playing Magician Pendulums this time for this regional. So he does some stuff, I do some stuff. I pretty much like make Infinity and just kind of sack pretty hard. So the second match was more back and forth, and I lost to a Wavering Eyes, and then the third match I like sacked him again. So I was feeling kind of confident at this point that okay, well at least I can beat like some people. And I go into my second round and I play against Perform Mages. And I mentioned this to Zach earlier, between my second round and my third round, I played a grand total of 3 turns. And so I obviously lost both of those matchups because they're both Perform Mage. And the second one, I ended up getting a game 1 loss because I was late, because I was disillusioned after my first one. The first guy, he opens up with the counter trap dude that I can never ever pronounce, and
Ariande.
Ariande.
Sure.
So he ends up playing that version, and he searches out 1 strike, and he opens up with like Infinity and 2 back row, and I look at his field and I decide to just scoop because I just want to like side deck and not have him know exactly what I'm playing. But I give him a little bit of information because he offers to side out his Wavering Eyes, and I figure he might have seen what my deck was when I was shuffling, so I just go ahead, and we both agree to side out Wavering Eyes. And I think that might help me a little bit, so I don't get completely sacked or anything. And then I go to make my play for my game 2, and he max sees me, so I don't special summon anything, and I just set Wavering Eyes. So I have a scale, I have a set Wavering Eyes, and I have like a Joker face up on the board. And I'm thinking, okay, so I -1'd him because he discarded max C, and he draws to 5 cards in hand, and he goes Gee Turtle, Monkey Board, and I chain max C. So he loses his 2 cards. I get a search.
You mean Wavering Eyes? Chained Wavering Eyes?
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
Maxi.
Oh, okay, yeah. So chain Wavering Eyes, and so he has like 3 cards left in hand, and he OTKs me that turn. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, what other deck in the game could be doing this? I mean, to be fair, he had 2 cards in his extra deck, but it's not like they were useful. It was a Gee Turtle and a Monkey Board.
Yeah, those aren't useful unless they're in the scales.
So that's when I was like, oh my god, I can't win. Like, it just gets sacked like 2 games in a row like that. It's like, am I playing against Dragon Rulers again? Like, what is this? And then from then on, it was like my next match. Like I said, I got the game lost, and then I went to the next one, and then um, he ended up OTKing me as well. So that was fun. So basically, played one turn against him, and then my next matchup, I played against Heroes, which I did okay. I won my game one, and then game two, he managed to field some stuff against me. Um, I'm gonna have to break up the recording. 1 second. So sorry about that, guys. I had to quick break up the recording. To get back on topic, we're talking about the hero matchup. So what happened was, like after game two, I got Dark Law during game two, and I lost to Dark Law basically. Like game one was kind of back and forth. Game two was kind of a blowout, and then game three was like super long. We're in top decking war, and he basically just won because he had like one extra card and I didn't, and like it came down to like the last draw. So that was pretty crazy and kind of enjoyable. So after that, I was like, well, now I lose. Like, now I'm going to lose every single match from here on out, or whatever. And then I play against Kaiju Yosenju, and I just demolish the guy, like,
Good.
annihilate him. And he's like, what did you lose to? And I'm like, bad thing is just like sack the dude. And it was bad. He played that spell against me and wiped my board, and then like everything basically just came back next turn, and I just OTK'd from there.
Side note, that
So
card is really cool.
yeah, it is. It is. Actually, he hit me with it when I had a Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, and then I like summoned Vortex, and I was gonna like bounce his Kaiju on the board, and then I like read it, and I was like, oh, that wouldn't make sense because you just special summon it back. So I just left it there, and next turn, Ignistered it off the field, and I was like, okay, well that was whatever. So after that, I was like, okay, maybe I can win another match because I'm still paired down. And I get paired up against Burning Abyss, and he goes first, and he goes Farfa, like special summon Farfa, normal summon Vanity's Fiend, and I go a few turns before I realize that I don't have an out to it, and then I scoop. And then game two, he opens Vanity's Fiend, Anti-Spell Fragrance. And this is after I
Wow.
sat in like all of my hate, and I see none of it.
Oh man.
And I ended up setting Shadow Dragon, and he ran into it, and I flipped Shadow Dragon, and I bounced back the Vanity's Fiend. And from there, I was able to make Castell, and then knock away his anti-spell. And the second I did that, he flipped his other anti-spell fragrance. And like he had like stuff on the board, so I knew he was going to be able to make things next turn. I was like, no. So I lost that one too, and then I dropped. So it was not a good time, not a good time at all. That deck, especially Perform Mages, it was really really powerful, and I felt like Magicians felt really fragile when I was playing them. I always loved Twin Twister whenever I saw it, and I feel like maybe main decking a second one would have been better. I debated on Ghost Ogre. I feel like that might have been better too, because I didn't actually play Ghost Ogre.
Ghost
Uh,
Rider's good.
yeah, it's a good.
And I haven't drawn Twin Twisters yet in a game since its release. I just want to point that out. Like I went to locals on Thursday, and me and Ricky had a our game three in like the top four cut. I flipped Skill Drain on him, and he had Rafflesia on the field, and I couldn't get over it. And he had double Iron Imperial Iron Wall,
Oh jeez.
and we had like a 40 turn marathon game, and I did not draw Twin Twisters at all. I had two of them in my deck. I had like 13 cards left in my deck when I finally won, and it was like, where was these Twin Twisters? So I
Speak,
don't know how good it feels.
so the other story kind of relates to Imperial Iron Wall. It's about a little bit about Doug and a little bit about Lucas. If you guys want to hear that.
Yeah, I do, because you were talking about that earlier.
Okay, so round eight, the last round begins, and Doug comes up to me and he says he's gonna wear the shark suit, and that's when I get those pictures of him. And so a few minutes pass, and I was charging some stuff on the back wall, so I grab all my stuff, I go over there, and I get ready to take some photos, and he's already like. We're only like maybe 3 or 4 minutes into the match or into the round, and he's already won game one. and he was playing Mermails, and so he's his opponent had Magispectors, and his opponent starts off the duel, and he summons the cat, and then he plays the field spell, uses the field spell to tribute the cat, and Doug chains Ghost Ogre to the field spell, knocks out the field spell, and the Magispector dude like sets 2 cards. And from there, from there, uh, Doug like summons Prince, and he gets scolded after he sends for cost or striked, solemn strike.
Yep.
So he sends for cost or whatever, and then he loses it, and then he pretty much just goes instant fusion, brings it back, and OTKs.
Oh.
So the game's over, the match is over in like just a few turns, and I felt so bad for that Magispector player while I'm like taking all these pictures from behind him. And then from there, it's like, oh, okay, he's done. Well, I'm just wait for everyone to finish up so we can get out of here. So I go over to watch Lucas, who is playing, obviously playing Perform Mages, and he's playing against Cosmos, a player who I had actually sat across from earlier, and I knew that he was kind of a newish player to the game, so I was kind of upset that he had done much better than I had. But he was playing against Lucas, and I was watching their game. They were going back and forth, and they finally got done, and that was like their game 1. I almost thought they were on game 2 because it felt like it had been longer. So they get started for game 2, and the guy fields Dark Destroyer, and Lucas, for whatever reason, finds every way possible to not get over Dark Destroyer. And he makes plays for like 3 or 4 turns where he's just like loading up his board with defensive cards while he controls Iron Wall. So his opponent can't really do anything. And he's just like
What?
putting things in front of him, like Trapeze Magician and Plush Fire, and then he's just like getting cards, and I think at one point he makes Daigusto Emerald and shuffles things back into his deck. And I'm sitting there watching this thinking, why don't you just make Igniter and then you win? And the whole time he's like not doing it, and I can't believe what I'm watching. And he finally, I think he made, okay, so yeah, so he Daigusto Emeralds back his, for some reason the name escapes me again, the Magister Paladin, the rank 4 Xyz that searches a pendulum monster from the deck.
Yeah,
during
Magister
end phase.
Paladin. The
Magister
Ascending
Paladin, yeah.
Drake Slayer.
Oh yeah, the Ascending Dragon Slayer. Okay, so he makes that. He made that earlier, and then he shoveled it back with Daigusto Emerald, and then he made it again, and that is the time he searched Luster Pendulum, and the following turn he finally summons it and then gets over Igniter. Meanwhile, the entire time, he has Mass Chameleon in his deck, and and
Oh,
even worse, he has Wavering Eyes in his hand.
what? Why would you do that ever?
So
what?
And so finally, it's over, and he finishes off the duel, and it goes to game 3 at that point, I think, because I think his opponent had won game 1 was the deal. So they go to game 3, and it starts going back and forth, and this time I see the Cosmo player using Kaiser Coliseum, so Lucas is kind of getting locked down by Kaiser and struggling with that until he finally gets his hands on some Twin Twisters. But again, he doesn't search Luster Pendulum. He just like is trying to figure out ways to get over it, and he spends a bunch of turns like going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then he has like, I think he had like Twin Twister in his hand for at least 2 turns before he finally decided to actually like plunk it down on the field. Meanwhile, he's got Iron Wall. His opponent at one point flips Call the Haunted, special summons Slip Rider back. Or excuse me, has Slip Rider in his graveyard, but instead special summons his Dark Destroyer back to kill Ragna Zero, because he was really frustrated with Ragna Zero for some reason, which I'm not even sure if it had a material at that point. And then he like realizes after he did that he could have just got Slip Rider and killed the card, and then he would have like at least been able to do things. And then finally Lucas obviously kills him, but that's basically my Lucas story. The frustration of watching him not get to his Luster Pendulums. The third game he went to Mass Chameleon and did it, but still it was painful to watch.
Jeez. I'm getting angry just listening to that story.
Oh.
Oh,
So
man.
how'd he do at that? I don't know. I didn't see.
He went. I want to say he went X3. I think he and Doug did the same.
Okay.
I want to say. I could be wrong.
And then Ricky got,
He went X2.
yeah.
Yep,
So,
15th.
He was playing Pals.
Yeah, yeah. I forget what Trevor did. He was playing Dynamist. Actually did okay.
oh, he was playing Dynamist?
Yeah, he was
I thought
playing.
he was playing Pepe.
Trevor was playing Dynamist.
Really?
Yeah. Which worked pretty well. Before we started, we had played a little bit, and we did like a casual match, and I just like stomped him, like totally demolished him, and then somehow he ends up basically doing better than I did.
No, he went X4. He was like,
Oh, did he go X? He went.
yeah, he was
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
like into round 4, he only had 1 loss or something like that.
So it would have been the equivalent of me staying on and playing the last 2 rounds and just winning them. I think
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been too far fetched. I probably could have done that.
Yeah, probably
I
not
was
at,
tired, so I didn't
at
want to
that
play
point.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, me, usually I drop when I'm like, when I get that 3rd loss, I'm like, yeah, screw this. Which hasn't happened.
I don't mind playing the 4th round of for that after you get that 3rd loss. I don't mind playing a keep going as long as I'm not like, tired or hungry or have
Well, see,
better things to do, like going to trade or whatever.
Like the last, like, 2 or 3 times I've gone to regionals, it's been like, oh, I'm going to sell all these cards at the vendor that no one ever wants. And I'll just get rid of them and get a lot of cash. But then it never happens because I'm always playing so late into the tournament. And I never have time. And then, like, after the tournament, there's a huge line. And I'm like, all right, screw this. Let's just leave. So I've got, like, this book full of bad, like, supers that I want to sell, but never going to sell.
Hey, just stop being good and you won't have a problem.
Hey, I'll just play Madolche at the next regionals and lose
I mean-
round 2.
That Pendulum Adolce did top recently, so...
Okay. So talking about that, I tried to test that deck, and it is so bad. I think I sent you guys some of the hands I drew.
Yeah, you did. But you said
Like-
you were winning with them.
I won with 1 of them. I won 1 game out of like 10. Like it's terrible. I don't know if I'm just bad at Yu-Gi-Oh or if this guy was getting all of the luck in the world because I was not drawing any playable hands. So it was really bad. I don't know how he did it. Props to him for doing it, but I don't think he'll ever do it again.
He doesn't need to, though. He made the point clear. It can
Made
happen.
the point. Well, I was actually looking at that same regional. Did you guys see Infernity topped?
Yeah, the Infernity Pendulum...
Yeah,
well,
like, what is this?
Oh, that explains why someone wanted my Infernity stuff.
Yeah. So I'm
fine,
forever
that's
just gonna, like Boston regionals
Yeah, Infernity Formation Pals.
are, like, the rogue deck topping central for some reason.
That's so funny.
It's like, oh, let's put Performance Pales and everything that used to be relevant in top
To
with
be
it.
fair, he's only running 2 Infernity cards. 4 Infernity cards total, 2 monsters and 2 back row.
Hey, that's all you need.
So what is that? That's like one. Or
1
two
Archfiend,
break.
1 Necromancer, 1 Break, 1 Barrier.
Oh, okay. You know, that's
Oh.
exactly what someone traded for. Well, not the Necromancer.
And
but-
1 Infernity Launcher.
Okay,
So,
that is exactly what someone traded for off of me.
why would you do this? Stuff gets valuable.
Well, I didn't know this at the time, and I like looked up the price, and they're like 50 cents. So it basically was like, yeah, you can have them.
Yep.
That's how I get that mat,
Oh, okay. Makes
plus
sense.
some other things. So
That's pretty cool.
the other thing I want to mention about the regional is someone was actually there recording feature matches, which I
What?
didn't know could be done.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't think it can be done, actually.
Well, see, I asked about this in the judge group, and Julia came in and she said that it's up to the tournament organizer if they want to do it.
huh.
I know at the Lenexa Kansas regionals, they live stream it. They
Oh,
live
that's pretty
stream
cool.
their top table every round. Like, I don't know if you guys ever watch that. Sometimes I do when I'm really bored on a weekend, which doesn't happen a lot, but Yeah, I've caught it a couple times on, and it's pretty cool to watch. It's just neat to see like other people playing. It's like watching a YCS. They've got commentators and everything,
Oh, that's cool.
so it's nicely done. But yeah, I didn't think you could actually do. I know you can't do it at like YCSs and things like that, Nats and things like that. I know they kick people out for that. Can't do it.
I mean, it makes sense to a degree, though. They also, well, I mean, I guess they don't usually stream YCSs. They just sometimes on a whim they do.
I don't know. I don't know the actual rules. I don't Yugi tube, so I'm actually against Yugi tubing. That's why I upload a podcast
To YouTube.
about Yu-Gi-Oh to YouTube.
Seems legit. All right, so next topic on the agenda is one we discussed last week, but I have different feelings about, and Kelly does as well. Um, the whether or not a cherry beast should be banned. I just found out that Pendulum Sorcerer or Wizard, or whatever he's called here, is an Earth, and he's searchable, and so is that Reptile Tuner. So you can just make Nat Beast turn one super easy and perform Mages and Pals, and just sit on that and win the mirror match because realistically you're only out as a rank 4 exceed, and you're only running one hat tricker now. Well, I mean you were before, but that's really your only out, and Nat Beast just kind of wins games. So I think because you can't just hit the card to one because it's a one over the deck anyways. At this point in time, the way they're pushing the game more towards pendulums, it would almost have to be hit, unless Perform Mages and Pals takes a hit themselves to make it so it's not as consistently able to be made.
Don't they have to open a very specific hand to be able to first turn it though?
No, it's so easy to do.
Is it?
All
I don't
you
know.
pretty much have to do is open up with a scale, and then like any number of other cards, and like either Joker or Sorcerer.
Monkey board, because monkey
Oh
board
yeah, or
searches
you can search it
Joker.
with monkey boards. So you have like 6+ cards that can search it, like not even counting like Wavering Eyes and whatever, and then about a dozen or so options. To that, just basically all you have to do after that is put a rank 4 on the board, and then you
Well,
have it.
you can't normal summon the Joker
Oh yeah,
and
you're
do it
right.
because you have to normal summon your level one
Basically, you need to open.
sorcerer and scales or some way to get sorcerer and scales.
Right, because you need to be able to have
Is
Sorcerer
it?
and Exceed,
Yeah.
and the deck search is enough that it's possible to do it more often than not. Especially if you go turn one and you go in first.
I don't know. I have no mercy for pendulum decks whatsoever. So whatever happens to them, I think should be legal. But
Well, I'm
no,
just trying.
I think the real problem is like they can reuse the material then because like sorcerer gets sent to the extra deck, which I've talked about before. Like why do synchro materials go to the extra deck when they're pendulums? Like, it's really stupid in my opinion.
Kelly, thoughts?
Well, my reason for going back on that is completely different. My opinion is that there shouldn't be floodgates in the game at all. That the game should be set up in a way that floodgates aren't necessary, which is completely never going to happen ever. But so I have a hard time saying yes, it should be banned in the current context of the game because I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But I would love to see the game in the future where you didn't have to play, like you didn't have to play cards and you couldn't play cards. Actually, more so the case that you wouldn't want to play cards that inhibit a single mechanic. I think would even be better. Just to
Ah.
put people in positions where they can't play the game is, I don't think it's very fair, and or I wouldn't say it's not very fair. I'd say it's not very fun, and it's not very competitive because there's no interaction in a game where you're basically saying, "Oh yeah, you can't do any of that stuff." All that is just limiting the interaction. It's actually purposely going out of your way to break up player interaction, um, and because otherwise you would lose to it, which it brings me to the point that you need to make the game and set up the game in such a way that there aren't overpowered strategies that make them necessary. But like I said, it's probably not going to happen because it's Konami. That frustrates me. So it's almost like on a I know that's not the right word. Like on a point of theory, I would say that we shouldn't have them, but realistically, we're going to have to. I think.
Yeah. Well, if they're that dominant, you almost need them at
Right.
that point. Like, I guess the one-sided ones are kind of unfair. Like where your opponent just can't do stuff. I can see the argument for that. Like Nat Beast is kind of like that. Um, but like I feel like anti-spell fragrance hinders both players. So it's kind of thing. Same thing with Vanity's Emptiness, even though that's at one now skill drain. Even though, like, sure, some strategies can take more advantage of it, but it does both hinder both players. So
Vanity's Fiend definitely, when I was playing against the Burning Abyss player, like when I saw that on the field, I was like, okay, that's kind of fair. When I saw anti-spell, I was like, okay, that's not very fair at all.
well, drawing two of them isn't very fair, I guess.
Because plus decks like Burning Abyss, that don't run spells basically are not, being hindered by anti-spell being on board. They're just benefiting from it.
Yeah, yeah. But you can play floodgates that hurt them that don't hurt you as well, but they're still field wide.
Right.
Like you can play Shadow and Prisoning Mirror against them, and it still affects your dark monsters. You just don't have to be playing any dark monsters
Correct.
or something like that. So
It feels weird. We have some floodgates that are limited right now. To have those limited, but then not have others limited it feels very, I guess, almost arbitrary. But I have to go back to say that Konami R&D, they always know what they're doing, and the existence of floodgates and the existence of decks that can reliably beat floodgates is definitely not a mistake on their part. Like that is something they have designed. They have designed Perform Mages to make it so that they can reliably kill floodgates. That's what Twin Twister is part of, and
yeah,
all the other
Yep.
fun stuff. That's why they have such good access to Castell and all that fun stuff.
yep. Which are outs to these floodgates. So maybe it forces them to play the hat trickers, which they're kind of getting away from, and things like that. Makes it so they're not just too overpowered.
I guess, but I mean, Hat Trigger is still a good kind of deck that extends your combos.
That's true. That's true. But they're not playing. I think most people are playing one if they're playing it at all. Some people are even cutting it. So
Oh, hey, look, perfect segue into our next topic. Discussing the shape of the format and how obviously Perform Mages and Pals, or Pepe, whatever the heck you want to call it, is in essence, quote unquote, the best deck of the format. I'm not sure if you can, I mean, it's obviously being played the most and it's seeing the most tops, but we're also seeing other decks able to viably compete with them in certain situations, such as, say, Burning Abyss because they can main anti-spell fragrance and, tribute stun like Vanity's Fiend and all that jazz. But you're also seeing decks like Cosmo still getting tops here and there because, well, one, Dark Destroyer is a great card, and two, they're starting to, some are starting to hybrid with artifacts to be able to keep up. So I'm just thinking it's interesting that in a format where, technically speaking, we're at full power Perform Mages, in the OCG, we're seeing, I'm aware these are two different formats, you can't compare the OCG and TCG, but based off of this deck alone, it was getting an 80% plus top rate in the OCG, and we're not necessarily seeing that here, at least not yet. I just think that's very interesting because it feels like more players are adapting to this format and running stuff again to counter not only just Perform Mages, but just pendulum strategies in general.
yeah, I think that comes down mostly to the difference in our formats. Our format's much slower than the OCG's is.
That's a scary thought.
Um, well, the OCG they've got things like Heavy Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster. Well, I think Heavy Storm's banned, but Harpy's Feather Duster is legal for some reason. Some weird stuff over there, and it's just so much more hyper aggressive over there than it is here. Like, look at their version of Burning Abyss compared to our version of Burning Abyss.
I envy
You
their
can just-
version of Burning Abyss.
they've got like triple tour guide, and that deck's still not topping. Like if that doesn't tell you how hyper offensive that format is over there.
Yeah, 'cause they just got Shockmaster banned, so
Yeah, yeah. See, I think slower formats promote more rogue strategies like Burning Abyss. They move away from the one or two strategy formats if you've got a slower format. Like if we look at the last like truly slow format we had was like with Hat and
mhm.
Infernity. There was quite a few viable decks back then. That would be what Nats 2013 or
14?
14, 14
14.
2014. Yeah, where you had people running around with Lightsworn rulers. You had Girgia. You had um, Burning Ab- no Burning Abyss wasn't out yet.
No.
Hat
Um,
was the big deck. Infernity. I lost to a guy playing Reversal Quiz at Nats.
I remember that.
Yeah, Madolche. There was quite a few viable strategies at that time. I think people were still playing Boojins and stuff even. Like it was such a slower format, so you had so much more variety. But I think if we had things like Heavy Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster and decks that just speed up the format like that, legal, I think we would see an 80% Pepe top rate. That would not surprise me.
Valid points. Kelly, have anything to share in this matter?
On the shape of the format,
Yes.
one deck I might add to that would be Heroes. I saw a lot of people playing Heroes. I also saw a few Magic Specters. But the Heroes were surprisingly capable of just putting Dark Law on the field and then really just messing up the Performage players.
Well, Dark Law is like a floodgate.
Yeah, yeah, basically. Like, it really reminds me of Evil Swarm in a sense. Like, it reminds me of the Evil Swarm versus Dragon Roller matchup, where
Hmm.
you just make a dude and then you sit on him. More certainly more so than Cosmo. Uh, and like as I'm playing against the one hero player that I played against, I could tell like all the things he was prepared to go up against. You know, he was getting Bubble Man into his hand early so that he could make acid and setting up Dark Law as quickly as possible to try to get my get my searches and take cards out of my hand. And keep my monsters mostly from getting to the pendulum zone or the extra deck from the pendulum zones. So that's a huge thing against pals, but it's just a question of how consistent is it. Obviously, it's pretty consistent if you straight up just open up with Shadow Mist, which there's a lot of ways to get to it. But
A whole lot.
it's it's not like an
Keep
awesome
Stratos
deck
fan
everywhere.
2016.
For real though, like Stratos would be insane. I think Heroes would be stupid good if Stratos was out right now.
Like, I don't think people realize how broken Stratos was. So,
Oh, I'm aware. That's why I want it back.
oh,
Although I do think about Joker kind of feeling like a Stratos.
yeah,
Joker
he
is
does
more
feel like
limited though in the aspect that it's got to be normal summoned, and it's once. I think isn't it once per turn with Joker, or is that not correct?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you can only
I don't
normal
think
summon
so.
once per turn.
Well, right, but I'm saying like it's its own effect saying once because Stratos was normal, special, and as many times in a turn as you can get them out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I think they're all like I'm pretty sure. I don't know the exact wording. I don't have one handy, but
Crobat, you can use the effect multiple times, assuming you normal summon multiples, but the
yeah,
only quote unquote viable way to do that would be with Brilliant Fusion, getting Seraph Knight out.
Which is what Lucas ran. He ran the Brilliant Fusion engine.
did he? Because I didn't think anybody was playing that anymore.
I didn't think he had room for it.
He he was the only person playing it, and everyone was giving him a hard time for playing it.
uh, yeah, Mermails are the other deck that is up there because of the Prince boost, but I don't think it's consistent enough to stick around.
Doug did complain about having a lot of brick hands.
Yeah, you could still bricks. I played at locals. I played one because I didn't go to the regional. I played a guy playing Mermail, and if he opened good, it was a good game. But then like one game, he just opened terribly and got OTK'd. So
Yeah, like
I
you
mean,
almost need like your searches turn one, and Prince is like your main way of doing that. And since
cause
Diva is that one,
yeah, you've got to open like Prince or Pike,
or one for one if you're running that.
the one for one. He's always like after every game I played against him, he would go through his deck. He's like, "Oh man, I needed one for one." That was the one card he wished he had drawn. It's like, I mean, if you're waiting for one card to be able to come back in this game, it's probably not a very viable strategy. So,
So I will say that I didn't realize until I was watching Doug play, and I don't know why I didn't realize it. It just didn't occur to me that when you instant fusion for Norden and you get Prince, you can just pay the cost and get your search or your effect off your Atlantean that you send.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like I knew that about like with Card Trooper and stuff, but I didn't realize what you could do with it with Norden in it, and that made it seem so much better than what I thought it was before.
Yeah, that happened to me one game, but I don't know, the deck it just can't keep advantage as long as some of these other decks out there. Like it's got its one big play, and then if that play gets stopped, it can't keep up where Pepe can just keep advantage turn after turn after turn.
And that's I think the big key of this format is gaining advantage and keeping that advantage. Like decks like Cosmo and Burning Abyss like can keep that advantage rolling once they
Yeah,
get set up. So,
they've got the floaters, and I don't think Burnmail has the floaters. They've got Sphere and what's her face Gundi
and
to
yeah,
to
And
float.
people
But
are
even then,
playing less of those, or none
those
at
aren't.
all.
Yeah, those aren't strong floaters either. Neither one of them is.
they need to be destroyed. The Lin does anyways.
Yeah. Yep. So
What
what
about
else?
I'm trying to think if Monarch's gonna be able to make any sort of splash coming up because they're releasing within the next week or so. Maybe on Friday. I don't recall.
I think we'll see people playing them, and they might top a regional or something. But I would be really surprised if they topped a major event like a YCS.
Yeah, because
I
people
don't.
are banking. Most people I've heard like saying like it's gonna be good is because you can get out a Vanity's Fiend or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be tribute stun basically. It's just a boost to tribute stun.
The problem is Rhoda's at one, so it kind of kills. I mean, Monarchs can be inconsistent to begin with, but with Rhoda at one, makes
It,
it a bit more difficult for like the mini, the smaller dudes to.
and I think Burning Abyss is a better tribute stun engine than the Monarch stuff is.
Yeah, because it's literally just special on the Burning Abyss, then tribute your guy, and it's like okay,
Yep.
I'm just gonna sit on this with a bunch of background now.
And then if you don't draw your tribute fodders, you just have traps, which the Monarchs don't really have room for traps.
No,
So
because their engine's pretty large.
yeah, small engines are key, kids. Just FYI, the smaller the engine, the more viable it is.
That means play multi-purpose cards that are really, really good and really searchable.
Yeah, like if you can break your skeleton of your engine down really small, it's an easy way to tell how good of a strategy is. Um, like probably the easiest one to look at would be like Bujin back when Bujin was good. Like that engine was literally like Yamato, and that was it. Like, and everything else is just support for
Like
that
people
deck.
are, I think that's why people are trying to smoke screen into Fire Fist or whatever. That was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, like counter siding. That's so funny. I tried that once. It was a YCS Chicago, and I was playing Chain Burn, game one, and I would side out into Madolche. I didn't do too hot. I think I won like 2 rounds. Like I think I dropped in round five, but it was really silly when I would do it because people would just be completely blindsided by the Madolche. All of a sudden, I'd be
Right.
making tiramisu's. I don't even remember what format that was. It was a good time though.
That was the Fire Fist Mermail format before people caught on to Geargia.
Was it okay?
It was like right as Geargia I think was picking up.
It must have been before Angeli, I think.
It was before Rekindling got limited. Rekindling and like Wolfbark all got limited I think on that list. That was one after we went.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember my idea was this because I saw a guy side from Chainburn into Insectors.
Yep.
I was like, I'm totally gonna do this. So, but yeah, like small engines are key, and I think like that's what we see really, because like the Cosmo engine is really small. Like you just play a lot of cards because they all float to each other. Same thing with BA. Like the actual BA engine is like Dante, and then like Sear and Graph. That's really all you need. Everything else just supports them. Beyond that,
Meanwhile, before Major Palace, it's like 1,000 different mini engines that just work together.
see, yeah. It's like four different engines that work together. It's like you've got the Draco engine, you've got the Perform Mage engine, you've got the Perform Apels engine. You've got all these different engines that just kind of. You've got King of the Feral Imps engine. Yeah, they just all kind of go together and do the same thing. So,
I've got good news, guys.
what?
Tubbs has wandered onto my yard. I finally got a picture of him. So on the way back, everyone in our car was playing Neko Atsume. Except
Yeah.
for Lucas, because he was
Oh, shoot.
driving.
I don't have my phone with me. I wanted to see if I had Chairman Meow. I'm trying to get Chairman Meow, guys.
What game is this?
Neko Atsume. It
Mecha.
is only the best game for your phone. It's
Well,
like it's a cat collector game. It's not very Yu-Gi-Oh related, but we've got really cool cats. So
found it, installing it.
I call it the cat welfare simulator because you leave out food and goodies for them, and then they come and they squat on your yard. Uh, so there's that. We were talking about all kinds of things on the ride back. Um, so one thing I brought up earlier today on the chat. I don't know if you guys saw. I was angrily typing about this. I was saying that they should change all when you can effects to if you
If you
can.
can.
so you can miss timing and stuff.
So you
No, so
can't
you
miss
don't
timing.
miss
Can't
timing.
miss timing. I got you.
Missing
Yeah.
timing, I feel like that could arguably done now just because literally there's not been a card that says when you can. If I'm not mistaken, since Dual Lines when Yang Zing came out. Like everything else has been if you can, so make sure nothing misses timing anymore.
It doesn't even like, to what degree does it make sense that you have a when you can line? Like, as a balancing aspect, what does it really do for you? I don't even know why it's in the game to begin with.
I think in formats of old, like it just made it so you could be smarter strategies to try to figure out outs to things that were like when you can, when it's destroyed, you can.
Well, I think when they started designing Yu-Gi-Oh, it didn't really matter, and then the game has just evolved to a point where it's become overcomplicated in that aspect,
Hmm.
and they're moving away from it now, but they can't just go through and errata every card unless they did like some catch-all. So
I'm
So
trying to think if they've done that before, and I don't think they have.
they have done some kind of blanket erratas in the past. Well, they've gone back and they fixed things too. So first, for problem-solving card decks,
yep.
they've also reworded things like piercing and excavate, actually becoming a totally new card term.
Yeah, but
Um,
those didn't really change the
and
way cards operated.
Yeah.
and the big one, changing until the end phase to until the end of a turn for the
But in
effects
those
of things like
scenarios,
Mailer.
those have been specific cards. Like this is
This is like a catch-all, yeah.
like I'm just like thinking like right now like Yang Zing, like that's like that would just be like, oh, it's destroyed. It doesn't matter when. I'm gonna get my free summon off now.
And it's really hard to explain to a player that doesn't understand the
Yeah, it
timing.
is.
Yeah, I had that come up at locals. Like I made a Deneb miss timing, and the kid didn't understand why he missed the timing. And it was like, well, he's not on the field to activate a chain link, and he was like really confused. So
The example I posted in the chat is you have a set Yang Zing monster and a torrential tribute. Your opponent special summons Cosmo Slip Rider, and they target your torrential tribute. You chain torrential, and all the monsters get destroyed. They get their effect. You don't get yours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why? It's just like why is that mechanically different? Like why would Konami say, "Oh, these cards can miss timing, but these ones can't."
Honestly, I think what happened was because Being Zen came out in Dual Alliance, sort of Burning Abyss, that was a TCG exclusive. I feel like when the TCG started just making a bunch of if cards, the OCG finally caught on to make it easier for cards, not miss timing. But I feel like before that, they weren't concerned about it because it wasn't really an issue.
Well, and you also, I know it's come up in the past, it doesn't so much anymore, but we used to have the translation issues. And I wonder if that stems from this. This is just a continuation of the translation issue problems, where cards will work differently in the OCG compared to the TCG because they're translated poorly.
Like lose one turn.
Yes.
Yes, lose one turn. That was a great YCS. Then I never saw lose one turn, but it was great. Anyways,
I think most of the wins seem to show up in cards that activate when they're destroyed by battle.
that's
They
mostly the case.
include
Yes.
that part, but again, like Yangzings are basically have the same activation conditions as a Cosmo monster. They just have one word differently, and that makes them much less viable for competition. Among other reasons, obviously, but it's certainly a big one.
It's true though.
But
I
that
feel
was
like
my
maybe
thing.
in the future that might very well happen, just because we're again the farther we move away from when you can effects to the pretty much everything being if you can, they might just blanket them later on, saying, "Hey, it's just they're all ifs now, not whens. You don't have to worry about timing." Because a lot of like newer players, that's not really they don't really have to worry about that now when you think about it. Like most of it's just ifs, not whens.
Speaking of which, like erratas on old cards, how do you guys feel about that?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree too. Like
It
the
changes
biggest
the way the card works. Like
the biggest one is Debris Dragon. That card works completely different now than what it used to.
it's just they made I think it was literally just their way to clear cards off the ban list, and it's ridiculous because it changes the way like all these old like super powerful cards are still have been probably relevant today if they came back unerrated. I mean, they're banned for a reason, but they made them basically unplayable. It's just why. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I understand like they want to. I mean, I do understand, but at the same time, it just boggles my mind that they felt the need to alter these cards in such a way that they're not playable. Really, like they're not competitively viable.
They don't even exist anymore.
Really, they don't. Like
There's
they're
no
never.
format you can play them in. It's above forbidden.
Like Sinister Serpent. It's like, oh, remember when that card was overpowered?
I'm convinced that one probably could have came back unerrated and been okay.
Yeah, I think nobody's really playing discard cards, and I don't think it would make them play discard cards.
If they are playing discard cards, it's because those cards are discarded activate effects.
Yeah. It doesn't speed up an engine.
Well, we've been recording for about 50 minutes now, a little bit over.
Ooh,
You guys want to call it there?
sure.
Why
All
not?
right.
Unless you guys got something last to say.
Performages can go die.
Why am I still playing this game?
Yu-Gi-Oh's bad, you should feel bad.
It's true. You guys should send me Twin Twisters so I can draw them, because apparently I can't.
You have to get good and draw the good cards. That's how it works.
Well, I mean, playing two of them and never drawing, like I can't believe I never drew it. Like the odds of that were so slim. Like if you guys could just watch the game, like everybody was watching us because it's like top four and it was in. It's like so everybody's watching the two games going on and they're just like, I feel so bad for you, Tom, because just wasn't drawing the Twin Twisters.
So guys, remember, always draw Twin Twisters, no matter what.
Yeah, that's how you win. That's how you're good at Yu-Gi-Oh. Get those premier tops.
All right, so this has been episode 3 of our Yu-Gi-Oh podcast presented by Yu-Gi-Oh's Bad and You Should Feel Bad. Please leave us a comment and with a question in it, and we'll try to answer that for the next podcast whenever we choose to record that. We're kind of off schedule, but We'll get it worked out
That's
eventually.
Kelly's fault. Yeah. So
It's
the
not my
reason
fault.
there's
It's
no
not my fault.
questions
It's Kelly's fault.
this time is because Kelly uploaded the video today, the day we recorded this podcast. So
You had one job.
Where is my hotkey for stopping recording? I gotta find. All right. Okay, and that's it then. So I'll see you guys next time then.
bye. Send your
Bye.
email to Kelly.